Welcome to the T-Squared Dad's Brown Bag Podcast. Here's your hosts, Kyle Baker and Dieter Burrell. All right, welcome back. Dieter and I are here, and we're in the new studio again, and I just wanted to catch up with you a little bit, Dieter, and see what you got going on. And I know things have been crazy busy here lately, and I know I'm definitely busy on my side, but what's new?
Dude, it's there is a difference in a good kind of way, but it's the same type, because I was trying to tell myself, it's like, am I feeling stress, or do I feel the same type of stress as I was when I was working in an office? And the stress is coming about because you're trying to manage each individual client. There's something to be said that you have to pace yourself. So there's some priorities and then some that are not priorities, so you can actually get away with not getting it done right away.
Right.
I mean, I know you saw someone posting something online about that.
Yeah. I read a lot of, not self-help, but things that you can do to think about whenever you're really busy and stressed out. And one of the things I always do whenever I get stressed, like if I have a whole bunch of projects going on, or I know you and I were talking about this the other day of, I got 8 different projects, and now you're having to manage the client, you're having to do the drawing, you're having to make sure that the billing is getting done, all of those things. And one of the things I find that helps me the most is if I can just really take the time and stay organized, and that way I can just check a box. One of the things I like to do is make a list, check my boxes. I'm one of those people that's like, I'm already dressed, but I write, get up, get dressed, have a coffee, just so I can check a box and make sure that I've done something today. But yeah, I was reading something the other day, and it was talking about your priorities, and they were really talking about like priorities as a whole for your life. Like you have your family, you have your job, you have all these things. But like in your case, it might be just the clients that you're trying to manage. You have 10 different projects going on or whatever. But the way that she kind of referenced it was, imagine you're juggling all these things, right? And you're juggling 10 different balls. Well, some of those balls are made of glass. Some of those balls are made of plastic or wood or something that's not easily damaged or broken. But the glass, if you drop a glass ball, it's going to shatter into a million pieces, and you're not going to have the same amount of things going on. So she was saying, trying to identify what in your life is a glass ball and what in your life is a wooden ball, or what client you have that's a glass ball that you can't drop right now versus one that might be a wooden ball that it's going to bounce and you can pick it back up and keep going. So things in your life like your family, your relationship with your kids or your wife, your health, things like that. Those are glass balls. I can drop my job ball for a little while, pick it back up, and keep going. It's not going to be completely damaged. Now I can't do that over and over and over again because we have to make money and we have to be able to support our other obligations. But if you're juggling and your family is one of those glass balls, you can't put your job ahead of that, because if you drop that glass ball that's your family, it's going to shatter into a million pieces, and it can completely change everything that you're doing. So I think that that's something that we have to make sure that we're thinking about, like prioritizing the most important things. When you only have so many hours in a day, you want to make sure you're focusing your time first and foremost on those glass balls, making sure that you're keeping track of those and where they are and keeping them from dropping. But there are other things that you can kind of put to the side. Like maybe you really like to play video games and that's your hobby, or maybe you're like me and you really like to go fly drones. Well, if I don't get to fly a drone today and that ball drops, it's not the end of the world. I can pick that ball up again tomorrow and keep going. So finding out which of those things are the most important that you cannot drop, but then allowing yourself to drop the other ones every once in a while because they can handle that. And she was even talking about relationships.
What's her name?
Her name's Kristen Hadid. I actually used to work with her at Student Made whenever I was in college, and I follow her on everything, and she always has really good advice, and she's written a book called Permission to Screw Up. And that's kind of been her whole motto along the way is, sometimes it's okay to make a mistake. Sometimes it's okay to drop that ball today, but you have to make sure that you're staying focused on really important things.
I will have to say that I did read some of her book, and it may have influenced me in some form or fashion to kind of see a different angle to my career and my path. And perhaps maybe she influenced me indirectly, to want to kind of step away from working for somebody and then working on my own. And so far, every time that I speak to somebody, they say that that's probably the smartest thing you've ever done, especially people that run their own business. Is it stressful? Yeah, there's some level of stress. Can you manage it? You have to ask yourself, can you manage things in a stressful manner? Do you have ways of managing stressful situations? But going back to what you said, as far as the juggling, I think there's so many different ways and tools that everybody uses. Some people like you said, it's like, hey, I like jotting down some. I like having a checklist. Yeah. It's like, hey, did you achieve what you need to achieve? And sometimes this is what I used to do when I was at the office. I get up in the morning, and then in the morning, we would have these Monday morning meetings, which I liked, but when we stopped doing them, I ended up doing my own Monday morning meeting, which I would sit for like maybe 15, 20 minutes and jot down things that I needed to get done for that day, for that particular job. Like you had large milestones. We knew we had a deadline X day, and then I had to achieve in reverse, looking back and say, okay, what are the things that I need to get done, which are big picture things that are going to impact a bunch of people? Okay, I need to get it printed. Okay, so that's a big thing before the submittal goes out. I need to get all the engineers. I need to have that printed so the engineers can come over and sign and seal the drawings. Nowadays, everything's digital, so we need to make sure that we have all the documentation together. And then you work your checklist backwards to say, hey, you're going to have a QC period. You're going to have somebody help you check it, just make sure. But you need to give yourself enough time so that person, you can't just say, here, I want you to check it and drop it off. So, but having checklists are critical, and you can have stickies, you can have notes, you can have marker boards and all kinds of stuff. So different tools, everybody has different ways of kind of managing that kind of stuff. So
yeah. But you've been pretty busy here lately, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot going on.
Yeah, we've been pretty busy.
Yeah, that's me too, man. I feel like every time I turn around, I'm taking on something new, or I'm studying for my test. I have my job, I have my family, and trying to have to figure out, like right now, a wooden ball for me is the test. Unfortunately, like it's the studying for that is something that I can drop and I can pick back up. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where that turns into a glass ball because I'm going to get to a breaking point where I just have to get it done. But and then something that just came up the other day, I was asked to do a presentation and give a lecture on drone videography. And so I was like, well, I have all these other things going on, but that's something I'm passionate about. This is kind of a first time trying to do it, kind of get my foot in the door for that type of thing, which is something that I'd like to do more of, is kind of having those conversations. But yeah, they asked me, it's SMPS Emerald Coast, to give a little lecture at lunchtime. I think it was supposed to be on the 25th, but something came up, and I think they're going to move it to the 9th of September. But if anybody's interested in going to that, you can go to their website, smpsemeraldcoast.com, and they have an Eventbrite ticket that you can buy, and it's from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, and I believe it's going to be on the 9th of September now, but it's going to be me and another person, Ashley. She's going to be giving a presentation on cell phone videography for the AEC industry, and I'm going to be giving a presentation on drone videography, where we'll talk about drones and all of those different techniques that we use for that. But I'll post a link to it on our Facebook page, and I think we're going to wrap up for today. And if anybody has any questions or anything, please feel free to reach out to us. And before we go, as always, the joke of the day. My wife and I should do lunges to stay in shape. That would be a big step forward. Thanks for listening to the T-Squared Dad's Brown Bag Podcast. Please subscribe on your favorite platform, and we will talk to you next time.